All right, this is for anybody that has an old C10. Mine is a 1965. Doing an LS swap on it. And I'm making my own kind of switches. I'm not using the switches in the dash. So I came across a problem with this windshield wiper motor wiring. So there's a 4-wire and a 3-wire, and there's one that has the windshield washer pump on here. I removed all that. I'm going to do that separately. But here's the issue. So there's 3 wires here. Hopefully I can do this one-handed. This is the one to the right is 12 volts. I just got it hooked up to my battery here. And then these 2 are ground. And if you have at normal, when it's in the off position, this has got a ground on it, and you have to have a ground on the case as well. That's because when you remove the grounds, it still has to operate because it still has to park itself, so it still needs circuitry. So the way this works is when you connect both of these grounds, you get low speed. You can see it's turning there at low. And so this is essentially the high wire. If you remove this, it parks itself. So it runs, you remove it, see it's still turning a little bit, and it parks itself. So then, when you're running on low, like this, if you remove this wire, it goes to high speed, right? So now it's running on high. You put this switch back, it goes to low, and then it parks itself. So the problem is, from my perspective, was if it was running like this, it was running on high, and I just take this high wire away, it does this. It's searching, trying to park itself. And that's because there's no ground there. So there's high, there's low, and you remove the high, and it parks itself. So the reason that is because on the OEM switch, it has 3 positions. It has off, low, and high. And so when you're on high, the only way to get to off is to go through low and then back to off. So you're essentially never going from high to off. You're going from high through low to off. And once you go through that low, it restores this ground. So when you remove the high, now it will park itself. So what I was going to do initially was I had purchased these Carling rocker switches. And so I got a double throw rocker switch. This is not it, but I got a double throw rocker switch. So the middle was going to be off, and then up would be low or high, and then down would be the opposite, right? So I was just going to wire it up so the wipers would be off in the rest position. If I push this switch upwards, I get high. If I push the switch downwards, I get low. But you can't do that because when you're going from high in the up position to the middle, you're just basically shutting off high, and that's exactly what happens here, where it kind of hunts for the home, and it can't because it's missing this low signal. So you're really going from high to off, or from low to off, but in the OEM situation, you're going from high to low to off. So the way I got around that, or going to get around it, is I ordered an on switch instead of an on-off on. I have a 3-position switch, which is on in all positions. And based on the pinout on that, at least on the Carling one, I can wire it so that in the upwards position it is high, then the middle will be low, and then the bottom will be off. So there will be no way to go from high to off without going through low. So hopefully that helps somebody if they're trying to use an OEM windshield washer motor, but not trying to use the OEM switch. If you're doing any sort of toggle switch situation, you will need to get an on switch, or you could potentially do it with 2 switches, or I even thought of a way to do it with a relay, but that's a little messy. So I think the on switch is basically the way you need to go. You need a 3-position switch that has contacts in all 3 positions instead of a dead spot in the middle. Hopefully that helps somebody.